On this episode of ResiWeek, Sony's commitment to CI, smart home insurance, and the battle for next week. All this and more on this episode of ResiWeek.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is ResiWeek, episode 252. Work on, not in.
Support for AVNation is brought to you by
Vanco International. Learn the technology behind the award-winning EVOIP, AV over IP system. Become EVOIP certified today.
and by
Atlona, the go-to provider for AV signal distribution and control in corporate, higher education, and residential spaces.
Welcome to this episode of ResiWeek, your weekly roundup of all the latest news and stories for the residential AV industry. I'm your host, Matt D. Scott for AVNation.tv. And this week, I am pleased to be joined by two of my close friends. First, we have Mr. Jeremy Glowacki. He is the executive editor at Residential Tech Today. How you doing, Jeremy?
I'm doing well. Happy Thanksgiving. Apparently you celebrated even though you're Canadian because your wife is not from Canada. So that's awesome.
I did. And no, she's not from Canada, but she's here now. So we double dip Thanksgiving. It seems very appropriate.
It
right?
does. Yeah, good call.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Two different kinds of cranberry sauce. None of the canned stuff. It was.
We had three different types of stuffing.
Ooh.
Which was not a popular decision. It's a lot of carbs, but
what is the third style? Because there's the wet in the bird. None of this has to do with tech. The wet in the bird, the dry outside of the bird. What's the third style?
There was a more of a cornmeal type style that apparently was our future vice president's recipe that my wife had to do for political reasons. And
I can get down with cornmeal.
So it was like kind of like a southernish style, I think.
Right.
I was going to say down here in Atlanta, it'd be some kind of a stuffing casserole.
Yeah.
That sounds interesting. That right there is Mr. Ken Eagle. He's the Senior Global Director of Training for Atlona. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm hungry now.
I know, right? That's why I keep a little container of chips. So when you guys are answering questions,
Smart man,
I can munch on the carbs that Jeremy doesn't seem to like. But I do. So there we go. All right. We're going to kick this off. Again, happy post-Thanksgiving. Hopefully you had a great week and you didn't spend all of Thursday night and Friday and Monday when we're recording this right now shopping online. And if you did, hopefully you supported somebody local, maybe, sort of. I tried. They didn't have what I wanted, so I went to the big box. That's how that works. All right. Gentlemen, let's kick this off with a story that comes to us from Residential Systems. After a 7-year hiatus, Jeff Goldstein has rejoined Sony Electronics. We touched on this a couple of weeks ago when this was originally announced. And this is a great interview with Cindy Davis about Sony's commitment to the channel. So read through the article. He touches on a lot of key things, going back to the fact that Sony was a founding member of the CD Association, and Jeff was involved even back then. For fast forwards into their CDA Expo virtual event, and kind of the big splash, shall we say, that they made in that virtual event in setting up their entire booth in their I believe West Coast HQ and doing a ton of virtual stuff and announcing a lot of really good things. So he's really talking to Cindy about their commitment to the channel in general. Jeremy, let me start with you on this. How do you or how do we judge commitment to the channel from manufacturers? Because I'd argue that you don't have any manufacturers that will come right out and say, yeah, we're not committed to your channel. But there are definitely manufacturers that seem to do it better than others at different levels and different points. How would you describe or kind of create a checklist of things that you want to see from manufacturers to show their commitment to our channel?
Well, it would clearly be easier for an integrator, a dealer to be able to answer all of those questions. But I would say that you would start with some sort of a dedicated communication line, somewhere to reach a person who is your channel contact, the supervisor of the channel, and to be able to get tech support directly as opposed to going through maybe the same line of communication a consumer would have to use. Also, early insight into what's on the development cycle, anything that can give a custom integrator a leg up on just the broad channel of what's going to be introduced in terms of, broad retail or online, and also some protection from pricing challenges as well. That gets in a little above my pay grade as far as how that works out, but I have heard that a lot in conversations between integrators and manufacturers at different conferences, and just trying to give some special consideration on dealer pricing. And I believe really it goes so far as to support of different conventions. You see a manufacturer supporting events at CEDIA, doing trainings at a CEDIA Expo, advertising support, that type of thing. Sony was the very first advertiser to commit to residential systems when we launched that in my prior position company back in 2000. They said, we're interested in this new venture. We want to help you get it off the ground. And they by having their support, it really connected a lot of dots as far as other financial support. So you see little things like that are gray areas you wouldn't necessarily think right off the bat, but just to have a big company like Sony, a big brand name like Sony, still sort of reaching down to a very small channel, which is the custom integration channel. But the further you think companies get away from the need for a channel like CI, it seems like the more they come back and realize we need this channel to help us get certain price point products sold to a certain consumer, and also maybe helping support a new technology that just isn't as easy to understand when it goes straight to retail, as opposed to working through a really dedicated person who's trained in how to explain that to the end user that they're selling to.
Yeah, very good. Ken, I'd love to get your insight working for a manufacturer and as a prior integrator on how brands and manufacturers can commit to the channel and what that looks like from your perspective. But I'm also intrigued with one of the things that they highlighted kind of at the end of the article on the way Sony's kind of created some turnkey marketing things for their dealers. So if you could kind of give us some insight on commitment, but also speak to how vendor-driven marketing can really help integrators and how they can take advantage of it.
Yeah. So Jeremy did a really good job touching on some really valuable points, I think, coming from the manufacturer into that CI channel. Certainly, I think you've got to do a couple of things off the top. You've got to have a great line of communication with those customers. That means they can get to their salespeople if they need to. They can get to tech support if they need to. They can get things resolved quickly, especially when they're out there on a job site and they need your support the most. So that's absolutely important. Having a window into the technology and the roadmap that's coming out. I can tell you from an Alona standpoint, we do quarterly webinars for our entire partner and integrator base to let them know what's coming out for that quarter, so they can count on those things. I think training is a really big component too. I'm fortunate enough to be able to run the training program at Alona, and this is I think a really key point. We've talked to a lot of dealers globally all over about this. Having the ability to get hands on the product, get hands on the knowledge, and to learn foundational information too. And what I mean by that is not just learn about my brand of products, but learn some industry knowledge, some technology knowledge that I really could apply to any job I do, to any technology or any of the brand that I work with. And I think that's important, that you build a base knowledge that they can share. Give something valuable away without expecting something in return just from your product. Support them, support their business, and create a partner. I think they really want that kind of a partnership. So I think that's very important. Another thing that, I can't speak to everybody out there, but I think something that's worked really well from my standpoint in working for two manufacturers in this channel is providing that kind of training at no cost. That's free to help make sure that the partnership, we have a give and take, and there are some tools and some basis for using my product and being successful out there in the market with that. So I think that's really important. I also think to really support the channel and have that commitment, there needs to be a program in place, a pricing program, something that the dealer can count on, a reason to come and buy from you, a relationship to have with you, and a reason to come back and continue to buy the products. That's important to have. And there's lots of ways to get that. There's ways to get that direct. There's ways to get that through distribution, which I think is also very important, because having a way to get your product out there in the market everywhere so that every dealer equally has a chance to get to it and have it when it's in stock, when they need it, is also very important. So those are some key things. And I think to your other point, Matt, about what can the manufacturer do from a marketing standpoint, maybe kind of sort of help those dealers. There's a number of things. Number one, whenever a new product is coming out, a new technology, anything's changing in the market, firmware, proactive communication to the dealer with tools, with training, with marketing resources, with templates, with emails that the dealer can reuse to go to their customer. I think it's real important to have some of those things out there. Some kind of a portal where a dealer can log in and get access to those things. And something that's been very successful for Alona that our marketing team has done here are create successful case studies from what our customers have been doing. So they've had great success. They've taken Alona out. And then we've partnered with them doing all of the work, taking all the photos, writing the article, taking the emphasis or the workload off of the integrator who's already busy, coming in, creating a case study to promote what they've done and to show how successful they've been with our brand and help other dealers use that same message and those same tools so they can be successful in their market. I think that's a real big piece too.
I loved what you said about utilizing case studies.
Yeah.
I think it's something that for a lot of integrators seems like a tall task. And I know I've been a part of a few on both a marketing side, but also as one of the integrators. And it can be a lot of work, but it really allows you to showcase what you do in depth more than just, hey, here's an Instagram worthy shot of something that we did.
You're right. We've got a pretty nice, I'll say, library of case studies online now on our site, but that didn't happen last month. I mean, it was years in the making to build that, because it's not easy to get the time commitment and to get the end user commitment to do all that. And that's why I say, we really want to partner with, and I think any manufacturer should really want to partner with the integrator, take the workload off of them and support it as much as you can to help make that dealer and others successful.
Hey, thanks for watching the first segment of this week's episode. To catch the entire show, please click the link below or visit avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv.